Hey there, Natalie, and welcome to your 2020 Best Year Ever Tarot reading. I'm super excited to be reading for you again, and I just wanted to say thank you as always and welcome you to your reading. And I also wanted to thank you for your patience. I know that it's been a while since you ordered this pre-order reading and I wanted to get to it earlier, but this month has just been crazy for me. I talked about it a little bit on Instagram with lots of travel, and then we're also planning a move and just getting the general readings out. At the time that I did them, there were some technical difficulties, and so there's just been a lot going on, and then with holiday season. So I super appreciate your patience and your kindness and your super sweet comment on my YouTube channel as well. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate you. And yeah, so I've had a pretty good morning. I took my dog to the vet, and she has a little ear infection. She's gonna be fine. So I have been then after that just came back home and I've been meditating and connecting to your energy and setting sacred space for this reading, and I am super excited to get into your messages. So I asked for messages from your guides and whoever wanted to show up in love and light like I always do. And as I was sort of tuning in, I saw several things. So first of all, I see this like green kind of energy. I don't know if this is a guide that is new for you or a guide that you have worked with before, but it almost kind of reminded me like the feeling I think it was male, was almost like the Hermit card in a way. Like that's kind of how his energy was showing up, but I couldn't see his face. It was almost like a hood or something kind of covering his face slightly, but he had a very like warm and wise and sort of technical energy to him. So I'm wondering if he is a guide who's helping you with your art, or with something related to like your craft essentially, because he was giving me this really strong feeling of like being very technically oriented or like very skilled, and also there's kind of like a specialized energy to this guide that was coming forward. So I don't know, it'll be really interesting to hear from you, like if this is an energy that you have felt before or if you've tuned into this before, like for yourself. But like those were kind of like the main things that I was getting, was just like the kind of like green color, and then like the hood, and then the like the technical, kind of technically proficient and skilled energy of this guy. Like he's almost like like a mentor or something, like in the arts for you or something along those lines. So I'm really curious if this is something you've picked up on, or maybe if not, if it's an energy that you kind of sense helping you or guiding you with your work at any point coming up. I'd be really interested to hear from you on that. I also was being given a couple of messages about just your career path, and I feel like with your art, there's, I do feel like you said like you've made a lot of progress, and that's super exciting that you met all of your goals for 2019. That's incredible, and I'm so excited for you. And so for 2020, I was getting this, I asked for like specific psychic insight before we even get to your cards about like what 2020, like what kind of lessons you're going to be learning in your art and in your field, and like how you can make the most of the year. And actually what was coming through was I was seeing like, it's really interesting, but I was seeing like the 7 of Swords, and like the number 7 stood out so strongly with it. And like it almost feels to me like there's something having to do with, I don't know exactly how to put this in words, but it's almost like there's something about the energy of 2020 that is going to ask you to increase like your efforts in a particular way, or increase your understanding in a particular way of this idea of being seen, and almost like self-promotion. because I was feeling, and I think that the reason that they were showing me the Seven of Swords was that it's almost like you've expanded so much, first of all, in your career and in your artistic work. And then there's also this sense of like, okay, the next step is to self-promote more, or to make your work more seen, or to be more vulnerable when it comes to your work. Like, I feel like there's still a little bit of desire to remain hidden. And that might be like on an unconscious level, because I think you consciously do really see the magic and the value in what you do, and you want to share it with the world. But I feel like there's this like unconscious, or like under the surface level energy of like, but I still kind of want to like hide a little bit, or like I still kind of want to just like hold back, or I don't want to self-promote like too much, or I don't want to be seen as like I'm, you know, advocating too strongly for myself, or marketing too much, or something like that. There's like this like a little bit of like a pulling back that I was feeling in your vibration. So I don't know if that like means something specific to you, but it was something that was coming up. So what I'm going to recommend is like, as we move into, you know, the last portion of 2019, I want you to, if you resonate with that message, I want you to look at like other people who are creative, maybe not necessarily whose work is like super similar to your own, but like all types of creative people that you follow, and really just pay attention to, like, for example, if you're on their email list, like how often do they email, and are they putting their products on sale a lot, or are they writing emails specifically with, you know, the intention of selling sessions or products or services or whatever, and how you don't judge that. Like when you receive an email from somebody whose work you like, and which benefits you, you don't take offense to it when they, you know, send out a sales email, basically. And so again, I'm not saying you have like a super hard judgment about sales or anything like that, because I don't feel that. I feel like it's more within you. There's like a fear of either like really putting yourself out there and being that vulnerable, or there's also maybe a fear that you don't want to self-promote too much, or be too like salesy, or too much advocating on your own behalf when it comes to like your art. And so hopefully this is making sense, but I really get this impression that it's okay to be more like in the spotlight in a way, or like it's okay to get comfortable with the idea of like literally self-promoting. I feel like it's important for you as far as getting the word out of what you do, and also just, I feel like it's part of your growth. And I don't know if that is going to make any sense to you, but that's like what was coming out. And I can relate to this a lot, because I go through this, you know, in my business too. Like I don't really send out emails often, and you know, I do have a tendency to kind of shrink back into the shadows. So I could like, as I was getting these messages for you, I was like, oh yeah, I need to like hear that. You know, it's like, that's actually something I'm guilty of like a lot. So hopefully that is helpful to you, and maybe if it doesn't make sense, just save it for later, because there could be an opportunity to sort of shamelessly self-promote yourself in 2020, but you might feel the immediate instinct not to do it because of this little like energetic like holding things in that you have going on. So it's just about being aware of that and recognizing that it's safe to take more risks. Okay, so I want to take a look at your cards. Natalie, clear loving guidance from the universe for Natalie. Please, Tarot, give us clear, loving, accurate guidance for Natalie at this time in her life, and as she moves forward into 2020. Amen. Okay. And as you know, I read intuitively. Oh my God, are you kidding? Are you freaking kidding? Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords. Wow. I just was talking about this card for you in the meditation. Spooky. Crossed by the Page of Cups. Absolutely. I love this reading already. Queen of Pentacles. At the root, we've got Knight of Wands for this past year, which is great. Your advice from Spirit is the Five of Cups in reverse. Again, so spot on. Incoming energy, 10 of Wands in reverse. Your inner work, 9 of Pentacles in reverse. Relationships, we've got the Knight of Swords. Your guidance for the year is the Eight of Pentacles. And the direction that things seem to be headed is the Four of Cups in reverse, which is actually a really nice position to get that in. So this reading is obviously, and I think maybe, you know, if you're familiar with tarot, you're probably seeing a lot of like what I'm seeing. But first of all, I want to talk about like the central cross, because everything in the Celtic cross spread really essentially relates back to the central two cards, which represent like where you're at now and the influence that's coming in for you. So where you're at now, we've got the Seven of Swords. So again, we have this theme of like he's kind of separated himself. He's a little bit outside of the norm, outside of the group, outside of society. Maybe he's just sort of harvesting things on his own, which is great. You know, I don't think that this is a bad place to be. I just think that your work is, you're kind of maybe even on a subconscious level, keeping your work a little bit more under wraps for some reason. But the influence that's coming in is the Page of Cups. So this is like, bam, like here I am. I really love what I do. I feel joyful when I create. This is like the emotions that I feel. This is the work that inspires me. This is like the high flying, you know, emotions that I feel when I'm creating. This is everything. And it's a victory card as well because of his posture. So, yeah, I feel like this is about being more like naked in the world, because he's got all the clothes and he's holding the swords in front of him. So he's kind of like closing himself off a little bit. And here he's like open, he's not even wearing a shirt. So it's like about being more naked in the world, about being more open in the world with your work. You have been making a lot of progress, clearly. So it's not like, you know, it's not like you've been holding yourself apart, like I said, in a negative way. It's more just like you have accomplished a lot in 2019, perhaps in the area of like your skill, as well as achieving your goals, like setting out to achieve something and then achieving it is a very Knight of Wandsy kind of thing to do. And like what's coming at the root of this reading is really the Queen of Pentacles. So this is talking about psychological, because this is a psychological position, it's a psychological attitude towards like building something up in the long term. This is an indication that you're pretty stable at home as well, because this is a domestic card. And so it feels to me like that internal stability that you have within yourself, the stability that you have in your immediate home environment and with your family, all of that stability ends up creating the conditions for you to have a really fruitful career with your craft. And I feel like it's important to acknowledge that like this is a holistic energy that you're coming from psychologically. Like this is your whole self. And the reason that it's going to be successful is because, you know, you've got a lot of this kind of deep sense of like integrity to self, you know, which is like, that's what this is about at the root. So that's really beautiful. What is like your advice from Spirit? Again, we have the Five of Cups in reverse. If we turn this right side up, we see again the image of a person covering herself, or like putting a block, like the clothes is like a blockage or like a barrier between herself and the world around her. And this is also something we saw on the Seven of Swords. So again, it's like your advice from Spirit with this card in reverse is saying, like, there's something in your unconscious attitude towards your work, or maybe even consciously, where you're like, I need to be a little bit more protective of myself, or I need to put some kind of barrier between myself and the world. And I want you to really like contemplate that and do some reflection on like why that is, or what that aspect is, because I see you like making a lot of progress with whatever that is in 2020. I also say that because you have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse in the inner work position. So I'll turn that right side up so you can see the image. The Nine of Pentacles is about success, especially for women in some kind of independent sector. So this is about like your own business, your own craft, your own sense of self-worth, your own sense of self-esteem, your own individuality, and how you express that individuality in the world. And it also has a lot to do with money and luxury and income and receiving. You know, like this is a woman who, like, because she's self-reliant, she has to receive in exchange for the effort that she puts out. Otherwise, she's just putting out effort and not getting anything back. Like, she's an archetype of like, I rely on myself, therefore I advocate for myself. Therefore I ask for what I'm worth, or I ask for what I need. And so that's kind of like the theme here. Since this is a money card in a lot of ways, I feel like some of this has to do with like value, how you value your work. And I'm not really sure what your goals are as far as like making money with your art. But I could see something along the lines of like embracing a profit strategy that before you thought like, oh, I don't want to do that because like a lot of other people are doing it, or I don't want to do that because it seems like it's not my style, but it could actually really help you and really support your business. Like I see something like that in this card, and I hope it's okay that I like get a little bit personal with you and share like some examples with you, because I like the energy that I see in this. It's bringing up something in my own life that I could relate this to, and maybe you'll see kind of how other people, like other creative people, have dealt with it. But it was, for me, it was that I never put ads in my YouTube videos for years. You know, I've been doing this since I think the first readings I did were for the beginning of 2015. So it's getting to be like 4 years or 5 years now that I've been putting out work consistently on YouTube, and I've never made money from it other than when people would book a reading with me or whatever. And it was getting hard to manage like all of the financial responsibilities that I have with all of the extra time that I would put into my YouTube videos, and then, you know, with other like blockages and stuff of time that were getting taken up, it was just harder and harder to make that work. And I would get comments, people saying, why don't you put ads in your videos? And I would always feel like, I don't want to ruin the viewer experience, you know? I just, for some reason, I had like a blockage to that. And of course it doesn't ruin the user experience at all, but that was my blockage, was like that, you know, I didn't want to take away from it. So maybe there's something in this for you, like there's something with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, like where is that little blockage like for you? Because I feel like once you get past whatever that blockage is, you're going to find like everything opens up for you. And the more that you can gain resources, or the more that you can receive in exchange for your work, the more that you can actually then turn around and put into your work. So it's better for everyone. And I feel like it's this is something for you. This is something, I can feel this for you. I just don't know exactly what area of life or like how you would verbalize it, but I feel that that is definitely something for you that will help you, you know, open the doors to accomplishing like big goals that you set for yourself in 2020 and in 2021 as well. The incoming energy is the 10 of Wands in reverse, which is actually a really, again, we see someone who's kind of shielding themselves with objects or something like that, and it's in reverse. So it's like a letting go of the guard, letting your guard down a little bit, letting go of something that's taking away from your ability to just be naked and free in your career and in your art. Like, that's how I really see this. It looks, again, like really good energy, like you said, with your spouse and your kids. We see the Knight of Swords for your husband, I feel, because the 8th position always relates to like partnerships or like people outside of you. And this feels like your husband is very much like also an advocate for you. I feel like he may have some good ideas for you when it comes to your business and when it comes to getting your artwork out there. Like, he might be sometimes a little bit more willing to kind of, because it's the Knight of Swords, he might be like encouraging you to, you know, do something like putting ads in your videos, like what happened with me. Obviously, maybe it's not the exact same thing, but he might be like, oh, you know, you should just like make prints and like sell them on Etsy. Like, that's a really great way for you to make some extra income, and you can still like do it largely from home. And, you know, or he might be just encouraging you to do something that's like more for profit or more for marketing purposes or more for kind of like getting something for your business to support the growth of your work. I feel like he's going to have some really good suggestions for you. And I feel like he also just really is backing you up in a lot of ways. Like, I think he just, with the Knight of Swords, it's like he really wants to be like your knight in shining armor. He's kind of like got a problem-solving attitude. And so it's just great to see that kind of support and love coming from someone so close to you. Guidance for the year, we have 8 of Pentacles. So get to work, girl. This is all about just enhancing your craft, being very, very dedicated, very, very committed, and also just, you know, sticking to it, sticking things out, learning new things, always being a learner, and just really working hard. Like, there's going to be a lot of work that you're going to accomplish in 2020, like individual pieces, I think, as well. The 4 of Cups in reverse is the direction things seem to be headed. I feel like this is getting something moving that has been stagnant for you on some level emotionally. I think this is tied to the 5 of Cups card in reverse that was in your advice from Spirit. It's like, I see a change coming up in terms of how you relate emotionally to something in your life that gives you kind of like the opposite of this emotion, you know? Like, I see this kind of being what is coming in, and this is like what is what you're letting go of, you know, which is like that feeling of stagnation, I guess. And I know you haven't been stagnant. This year has been anything but stagnant, but it feels like a particular facet of what you do is going to be getting in motion again. Okay, so I'm going to pull some oracle cards for you for each month of the year, like I always do. And I want to get some insight for Natalie. Sweet Natalie, she's so beautiful and kind. Please give us clear, loving, and accurate messages for Natalie at this time in her life. Please give us clear, loving, and accurate messages for 2020. Clear, loving, and accurate messages for 2020. So these cards are going to give us advice for you for each month of the year in your career, but also in all areas of life as well. So just kind of like a general loose forecasting with like a focus on advice and guidance. Nothing is set in stone, as you know. Okay. So I'm going to just lay these out. January, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. Okay, I'm just going to get a sip of water. Okay, so let's take a look at January. Wow, and these cards also form, as you may be familiar with from my readings, they form kind of a thematic forecast for the year. So again, we have this theme of money coming up. Woman holding a coin. Remember we had that Queen of Pentacles coming through at the root of your spread. The root I also look at as like the part of the tree, the organism of the tree that that pulls things up from beneath, and then what ends up coming in through the root is what ends up going to the branches, right? So the root of the reading is also kind of this seed or this nutrient or this component that's going to be expressed ultimately in your outer world. So you have the Queen of Pentacles there, and now you've got the Queen of Pentacles in this deck's version, the Energy Oracle. So this is absolutely fucking gorgeous, if you don't mind me cussing. I think this has a lot to do with your worth, your perceived self-worth as a human being, firstly, and then also, you know, as an artist, and really feeling like your work has value and seeing that value coming back to you in the form of resources as well as, yes, finances and money. I see you making money with your art this year, if that's something that you want to do. And look, we have the number 7 coming up again. 3 and 4 is 7 here on the leg up card. This is also about asking for help. The leg up card is. So there could be, I feel this is you, but there could also be another woman that you partner with in some way, or who can help you, guide you along in your business in some way, or in your getting your work out there. There could be some helpful women around you in 2020. I also think that, like, when you don't have something, that's not like an indication from the universe that you should just wait for it or give up. I think it's more like when you don't have something that you need in 2020, your guidance is just to ask for it, you know, and just like find the person who has what you're looking for and strike up a conversation with them, see how you can mutually benefit each other. And that's also the energy of January. So really good financial energy as you start the year. February, we have Victory and Observer. So, wow, something really good, you know, coming together for you around the beginning of the year. I feel like there's some kind of milestone being accomplished, or maybe you get some kind of like an award, or somebody contacts you and says, hey, we want to like write about you in this article, or just something really like an accomplishment is what's happening in February. And the Observer card is letting you know that you should just observe this time and just pay attention to the signs and omens and the synchronicities and the things that are going on around you, because I feel like they are really showing you more information about the situation. Like whatever you're doing well in the first portion of the year is replicable as long as you're aware of like what you're doing to get those results, you know? March, your birthday season, we've got peace and the world. So again, really happy energies. I am seeing the potential for expansion with the World card. This could be like getting your work out there more on social media in March, and that would be encouraged. This card can also have to do with travel as well. And the peace card is just a general feeling of like, just go with the flow. You know, there's never a like absolutely perfect month, but when we find gratitude for what we have in our lives and how, you know, every day we go to turn the lights on and they turn on, and every day we get thirsty and we drink water, and every day we want to feel loved and we get a hug from our spouse or our kids or something. You know, it's like feeling grateful that life is just, the world is turning, you're growing, you're expanding in your creation, and this is just an exciting journey for you. April, we've got time for a nap and walking away. So April is a month of retreat. April is a time to really come back to yourself and take a break. I feel like you're going to want some more time to go on walks, maybe in nature as well. The walking away card can also relate to like taking a step back from something. The time for a nap card as well as like rest. It's like time to just let go, trust, rejuvenate yourself. And I feel like this is a time you may be affected by some of these retrogrades that we have starting in April. Jupiter is going retrograde, then we're going to have Saturn, Pluto going retrograde, and then Mercury and Venus as well are also going to be retrograde more or less in this kind of general time period of the year. So you might kind of just be picking up on this retrograde energy, and it might just make you feel like you kind of just want to chill a little bit or reflect and pause. Okay, so May, we have deceit and exchanging gifts. So this is a really important message. I want you to be really clear on what it is that you are agreeing to when it comes to partnerships and creative relationships or co-creative partnerships, or any of the above. Because exchanging gifts is card 27. This is also card 27, the walking away card. And then we also have 24, time for a nap. 25 is deceit. So there's definitely a numerological link between these cards. We have a 20. This is freaking the magic of cards. Let me just say, first of all, we've got 24, 27, 25, 27. So I feel like between April and May, you may be realizing that somebody who you are like working with in some way, or somebody who's kind of involved in your life in some way, might be, there could be an element of deception. There could also just be like a realization that your interests are no longer aligned. And maybe this person has motivation to encourage you to keep taking actions that are actually not in your best interest. So I'm not going to say that this person is inherently negative, because I don't think I can say that, but I will say that they feel opportunistic. So just be, again, an advocate for your own success. And I would say between April and May, I would probably encourage you not to sign contracts if possible, or if you do have to sign them, like get a second opinion, maybe from like a person who works in law, that kind of thing, because I feel like there's the potential for some kind of iffy energy, but I don't see this as being something that is going to like completely be a stressful thing for you. I think it's just these messages are coming through to make your life easier. So, and maybe if nothing like this happens, then, you know, it's fine. So June, we have anxiety and regeneration. So there is the potential, like between April and June, there's a sense of like something being a little bit worrisome or concerning to you. Maybe having to do with another person. Like I feel this more in your career sector, but it is just about kind of going through a period of renewal and regeneration, I feel, in June. There's a sense with the regeneration card that something beautiful is growing out of like this lava, you know, like the lava, and then we have up here these leaves. So something beautiful is coming, possibly out of a time period that had a little bit of tumult involved in it. Okay. So just having some mindfulness practices in June will really help, but I feel like you are going to feel refreshed, ironically, after you know, go through whatever that experience feels like for you. July, we have Unfinished Symphony and Sixth Chakra. So there is something that you're working on in July that you're probably going to either be pushing a deadline back, or you're just really like looking forward to the finish line. Basically, like it's something that you're going to be putting a lot of energy into. And the sixth chakra card is saying like the more that you work and activate with your third eye, the more clear your vision is, basically, for what this, I feel like it maybe is like a piece that you're working on, or an aspect of like how you share your art. Maybe even preparing for like a gallery or a showing or something like that. This is saying like activate your third eye, like maybe through meditation or something like that, before you work, or maybe when you feel like you need a break. Doing like a little meditation like that will really help you to finish that symphony, to get all the way to the end. It'll help you have the endurance, because you'll have like that clearer vision, you know, in your inner eye. You'll know what you're working towards, and that will reduce any of like the stress of feeling like, you know, this isn't done, you know. August, we have Rest and Rejuvenation and Imagine. So again, they're hitting us really strong with these messages of the third eye, okay? I think of the Imagine card as like another third eye card, because it is about using your imagination. And the Rest and Rejuvenation card in August is saying you're going to need some extra time to meditate. It's an encouragement as well to take some time off maybe in August, getting a break. You know, that usually is the time of year when you know, the seasons are about to change, and so there's these preparations that are going on, and there's things that are kind of that have to get done, but at the same time we want to sit with where we are and enjoy like that moment as well. September, we've got the Thinking Woman and Here and Now. So September, I feel, would be a really good time for you to take a class, or maybe read a book that you've been like thinking about reading for a while. There's also the potential for like a female teacher to enter your life in September who could be really helpful to you in some way. The Here and Now card again is like, I feel like these peaceful reminder cards keep coming up to let you know like that it's appropriate for you to just trust, like throughout all of 2020 and beyond, just enhancing your sense of trust in the universe, and your sense of trust that everything's going to be okay, that you're that it's okay, because when you are expanding in the ways that you're going to be expanding, and you're taking more risks, and you're being more vulnerable in your art, we do often need to remind ourselves that everything's going to be okay. Like, it's, other than that, is kind of hard to do those things when we don't have that solid base, but you do, thankfully, because you have that Queen of Pentacles at the root, and you have the woman holding a coin for the year. So it's like you do have that strong core of being connected to yourself, and you have that inherent stability, so it shouldn't be a problem. We have Truth Be Told and Angel of Balance in October. So October, there could be some things that have to be expressed, and this may be within like a business partnership, or maybe with your spouse, or with somebody in your life, maybe even a family member or friend, that what's going to balance the situation is actually you like being more honest about how you really feel. And that might mean setting a boundary, or that might mean making sure that the relationship isn't the type of relationship where you're just giving, and you don't get anything in return, you know? Some kind of voice of dissent has to be expressed in order for the situation to rebalance itself, you know? So that's kind of Not the easiest thing, for a Pisces always to do, but I think that it will really be helpful. November, we've got man holding a coin and no place like home. So could be some really good movement for your husband in his career. With no place like home, it's like he's bringing the money home, or he's kind of feeling abundant, he's feeling strong, he's feeling like a provider maybe. And the no place like home is like a very authentic connection as well between the two of you. That's kind of what I'm seeing in this. Like, I don't really see the man holding a coin as like an external financial advisor. Sometimes he can refer to that, but I feel like this is more about you and your husband, and just kind of just like prospering, like both of you prospering. So December, we have chop wood and door to romance. So December, this is kind of a funny message, but I feel like it's kind of jumping on the back of like this message that came before that brought the focus to your marriage. Chop wood and door to romance is really sweet to see in a married person's spread, because it's basically like, okay, in December, it's time to work on your relationship a little bit and like make time for each other. And maybe, just November and October, maybe you're both like really busy with things. So by December, even though it's holiday season, it's going to be really important for you to have like a date night, for example, or to set aside special time for just, one-on-one hanging out, chatting, being intimate with each other, and just really feeling like that spark of love, that spark of genuine affection and attraction. And with the chop wood card, it's like making that non-negotiable, like making that part of your life routine to have romance with each other. So that's kind of what I see, but I think it's a really cute combination of cards. Like, that kind of makes me giggle. Okay, so I wanted to get your word for the year. So we have compassion. Wow, that's really interesting, and I want to get more insight into that. Compassion and celebration. So for you, Natalie, I really see you as somebody who has a lot of compassion already. So I don't necessarily see this as being more compassionate for people. I feel like this is more about celebrating the connections that you have with people and that you're making with people around your art. I feel like the connections you have already in your personal life are fantastic, and I feel like there's going to be new relationships coming in 2020 as you share more of yourself and your talents with the world. There's going to be new connections that come in, and there's going to be just like heartfelt energy that's going to be harvested, during the year for you. And I feel like these cards are really saying, like, celebrate that. Have fun this year. Celebrate every win, basically. So that's what I'm getting for you. I hope that this reading has been helpful to you, Natalie. Thank you so much for asking me to read for you again. I'm sending you so much love and light. Please let me know if you have any feedback or questions. Mwah! I hope you have an amazing year. Sending you lots of wishes for your prosperity and joy. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.